the chemistry with you and Norm. You can both get yours. There's a synergy when you guys are playing the right way. Is that something that will continue to grow comfort-wise as this lineup gets more and more reps together?
I think so. I feel like it's more than just me and Norm, though. I feel like we got a lot of guys in here. So it's not just me and Norm.
And just you, as far as week back now and sort of rounding into shape, do you still feel it coming, getting to your spots? And Spoke said the more you guys play the right way, the more everyone should feel more comfortable.
Yes. Just continuing to play the right way and, just making the right plays for each other, leaning on each other, and making this a collective unit that, everything goes as one.
First, second, and fourth quarters are really good. What happens in the third?
No, we've been trying to figure that out all year. Probably last year and the year before that too. Like, third quarter's been a struggle for us. We've literally tried everything, going out earlier, ending the meeting at halftime earlier. We've played music at halftime. We've done everything. So we're gonna keep working through it, but it's definitely. No, I'm joking about it, but it's not like a joking manner. We got to get that right in the third quarter.
But this time you found a way to push back through it. What does that say about this team finding a way in the fourth, going down, and still getting the W?
Yeah, so it's important. It's a 48-minute game. The whole game isn't going to go our way. Things aren't going to be perfect. We have to, like Coach says, build a mental toughness in those moments, rally with each other, get tighter, get the group in closer, and just keep fighting like we did tonight.
What can you say about Bam's outing? Obviously, he hasn't been playing up to his standards, as he said, and kind of seeing the shots go fall in. What are you guys telling Bam, during this time and just his performance tonight?
Yeah, I think it was, obviously everyone recognizes the points and the threes and the big shots that he made, but I feel like he did all the little things, and he wasn't worried about scoring, and then that's just like a karma to it. You do all the right things on defense, you're doing all the right things in the gaps in between, and then you get a shot and you're not thinking like, sorry, I got to make it, it just comes naturally, much like he was playing at the beginning of the year, just playing off the catch, making, decisions quick. And in this locker room, we know what he's capable of, so we're just excited he had another big night, and we just keep rolling.
Those lineups with you, Norm, and Jaime, during different pockets of the game, what is it that works with those lineups when you guys are playing, right? What is it that clicks and makes those lineups dangerous?
Jaime's doing a great job of just getting in the paint, making the right plays. He's one of the best guys in the league at getting in the paint. It's just about the decision-making once it gets in there, and then me and Norm do a good job spacing for him.
You guys have been increasing screens more than you did earlier in the year. You're supposed to talk about kind of finding a balance where maybe in the third quarter you guys went to it a little bit too much. I guess, what is that balance like, where wanting to play fast with that style but also using some ball screens mixed in?
I don't know, should I say? Of why we run pick and rolls, or is that pick and rolls are a bad thing? I'm going to leave it. Pick and rolls are great. It's it's a part of the game. We came into the season with the, like a motion pattern offense that we all kind of read and react off each other, and the pick and rolls implemented into it. We still can get to those movements and the spacings on the floor with the pick and rolls. Now, I don't think it's all pick and rolls, and I don't think it's all no pick and rolls. I think it's a happy medium, and that's on us players and the coaching staff to kind of figure out where that is throughout a game. And I also think it changes game to game. Some games we don't need any, and some games we do, depending on who we play.
Did it feel like going into this game that there would be an opportunity for more pick and roll against this defense?
If there were more pick and rolls tonight, then probably. It's good.
Thanks, Tyler. Norm obviously spoke before the game about kind of this past road trip, those third quarters kind of being the problem, and it kind of happened today as well, but this time you guys overcame it. Can you just kind of talk about kind of overcoming it in that second half?
Yeah, I thought we had the right intentions coming out, trying to play the right way, play with the right energy. I think it's in that third quarter, it came down to missing shots, and then they capitalizing on that. But I just liked our mentality and the way we stuck together and kept fighting and didn't cave in. In previous games, especially on this road trip, he talked about the big runs that teams went on, and us trying to kind of giving into it. And I thought tonight we did a great job of holding on to the rope, trusting one another, continuing to fight, continuing to make winning plays down the stretch of the game.
Norm, obviously Bam does so much more than scoring, but how good was it to see the ball go to the basket for him tonight? And what's been kind of your guys' message to him during this stretch of, where he's maybe not scoring up to his usual standards?
Yeah, obviously it's great. I thought he really got us going, start the game in his aggressiveness and in his attacks and not turning down the open looks. And my message to him is to keep going. I told him even last game, it don't matter whether you make or miss, man. They're empty calories. You put the work in. If it's a good shot that you work on, if it's in and out, if you miss bad, whatever, it's the next one is always the best shot. I just told him to clear his head and just hoop. He know what he can do. We know the player that he is. And it's just clearing his mind and making the plays that are in front of him. And I thought he did a great job tonight of doing that, and then especially down the stretch. Taking the shots with confidence. And believing in his work, and it definitely paid off. But I thought the energy and focus of him playing a pure game allowed him to do that. The steal on the inbounds where you got the dunk, the ball finds energy, the game finds energy, and he was able to capitalize on that.
Acknowledging that you and Tyler just really haven't had that much time on the court together so far, does it feel like, especially on a night like this when you both have good games, you guys are trending in the right direction in terms of your synergy together? Yeah,
we're just going to keep working. We're both confident, not only in our own abilities, but in each other. We're talking to each other out the course of the game. We're talking to each other on the bench. When he was out, he was talking to me. When I've been out, talking to him in the games that he's played. So, we know what we both can bring to the table. But like you said, it's all about us, getting comfortable and learning how each other plays, our spots, and how we can play off of one another with our skill set. But I think the more and more reps we get, the more and more practice time we have, and working the offense and getting us to our spots, it's going to just get better.
On that same note, you had 2 clutch buckets. It was both off the ball. One was a cut, one was a corner 3. I guess just is that what you see, I guess, with that closing lineup specifically, that maybe a Time or Tyler that's on the ball and you can kind of be the guy off the ball where you guys could switch off? Just what do you like about that closing lineup? Yeah,
this thing is so versatile. Like I said, you can put Jaime in there, you can put me, Tyler, and have a bunch of guys that can, attack the paint, draw defense in, and make the plays out of there, whether that's for them to finish or kick out, and I thought Jaime did a great job of cracking the paint, and then it's on us to make the reads off the ball. But I think that's the versatility in our games. We don't need the ball every single possession to be effective on the offensive end. We can play without the ball. We can play off of one another, play off of what the defense is doing and trying to take away based on who has the ball. And that's what our offense is for everybody. Tonight was me on the recipient end making those plays and hitting those shots, but any given night it can be any one of us.
It was a very chippy game, obviously, and at one point where you and Dylan kind of got into it, Bam had to hold you. But just in general about how chippy it was, can you just kind of talk about the energy that kind of gives you guys?
Yeah, we know what Dylan Brooks does. We know his antics. We know what he tries to do. I've played against him since college. I know how he is. And I didn't feed into it for the majority of the game. Him trying to bump, hold, foul, talk. I just ignore him. But when he pushed me, that's when. That was my line in the sand, but Bam held me back. We got the technical free throw, and we keep going. He's going to beat him, and it doesn't really bother me no much.
Thank you. Thanks. Hey guys, Tyler's almost ready, so if you don't want to go down.
Bam, obviously, you mentioned kind of the struggles that you had, and then you kind of had about 10 or 11, 12 straight points in that fourth quarter. The shots were falling, but can you just kind of talk about just your overall performance kind of getting back?
That's that's one of those.
My fault.
No, you're good, brother. That's one of those two-way performances that I'm capable of, and. That's the thing. A lot of people care about the last column, but throughout this offensive slump, I've still been doing the defensive part. We're still ranking a third best defense, and nobody's talking about that. They're just talking about my offense. So, obviously, it feels great to see the ball going. I've been through a slump, probably 2 weeks, and you don't overreact to it. You know, when you're in this league long enough, you see some of the greats go through slumps. And being able to obviously reach out, talk to people, and then just quiet the noise a little bit, you kind of have that out-of-body experience, and it just becomes a spark at some point. And, you know, that was that spark tonight.
Bam, you were 4 for 6 tonight from 3. Been a really awesome addition to your game. Obviously, players in this league are becoming increasingly more versatile, adding different things. What skill do you think is the most non-negotiable in today's NBA?
Most non-negotiable? Is this for the couch coaches or like the actual, the professionals?
For the professionals.
I would say just having a high IQ, like being able to play a pure game of basketball. And that's very underrated in this league. And you know when you have it in a certain person, like they just have that feel where they're just in the right spot at the right time. They over-communicate. They do all the little things that don't show up in the stat sheet. They're a great teammate. They fuel people. And you wouldn't see that by just watching the game. But, you know, those type of people, they can move the needle for a team and make them a championship team.
Bam, like you said, everybody has slumps, but just because this one has happened in a relatively new system, has the past 2 weeks been, in your mind, mostly about make or miss, or has there been an element of figuring out where your shots are coming from?
Little of both, but, you know, I'm very pure with this game of basketball. And, you know, I know sometimes it's going to happen, but, you know, when you keep that positive mindset, I know the table's going to turn at some point. And it did tonight. And, you know, what I love about it is, like, I got to pass Joe. And it's like this weird thing, man, when it comes to I'm getting close to, like, milestones in franchise history. It's like it'll take me 4 or 5, I don't want to say, like, off nights or whatever, but it's like Ron Cycli. It took me, like, 4 or 5 games to get that double-double. And then when he's in having a broadcast moment, it's like I get it in the first half, and it's like one of those things that's just weird to me where it's like God puts me in the right point at the right time. And obviously when you have those type of moments, it's the cherry on top when you get the win.
You talked about high IQ guys or guys who over-communicate, those little things. Who taught you that? Like, who's the example you point to and say, I'm going to be that guy in these ways?
I got to give it to Cap. I got to give it to UD. Because when I got here, UD wasn't really playing, but, you know, he could still move a locker room. He could still push guys. He would still show up. He showed up for me this morning at 9 a.m., and the man lives an hour and a half away, including traffic. So, you know, that's the type of commitment, but that's also, like, the equity that he's banked with me. It's the bond that we have, and, you know, I appreciate you, D. I don't say this a lot because, you know, we have our moments, but, you know, I really appreciate that, man, because he's poured so much into me.
Bam, obviously this is a very chippy game. You know, there's a moment where you were kind of holding down Norm before kind of anything could happen. And, I mean, again, just the energy. Can you talk about the energy that kind of comes with a game like that?
Man, you like those type of games. You know, those are the type of the games that really get the crowd into it, gets intense. You know, every bucket is like a chirping moment. Like, you know, that's when you, like I said, that's when the ball finds the energy, and it just so happens that it was finding me and Norm in some of those biggest moments. And obviously you see how we celebrate. You see how the team, you know, gels, and you see how the crowd gets into it, and it just becomes one of those moments where it feels better being on the other side when you're winning those type of games.
You mentioned earlier about people just looking at the point total in the box score. Pella tonight, 2 points, 1 shot attempt. Pretty impactful in this game, I guess. Just what can you say about him and just making those type of impact without maybe the numbers coming with it?
Makes the right play every time. And that's what you love about Powell, because he can have 16, but he can have 2, and he still affects the game in a positive way. So when you have guys like that who can do that, it puts you in a better position to win, because, you know, in our locker room, points matter, but it's like, do the little things, you know, and we have guys that do that.
You had mentioned during the shooting slump that you had reached out to some people, maybe some other player. Who were you reaching out to, and what kind of advice were you getting during that time?
I mean, one of them lives with me. But obviously, you know, when you're frustrated, you contact, you know, some guys that are scorers, like D Wade. You know, I reached out to D Wade, UD, because, you know, I see myself as like the mix between the both. Being able to score and obviously have those moments where it's like consecutive points, and you know what the flow feels like, you know what the slump feels like, and then also UD when it's the other end of you still got to take care of business on the defensive end. And being a two-way player, you're going to have those moments where the offense isn't swaying your way. And, you know, like I said, the table's always going to turn.
Thank you, man.
Yep.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Erik, it almost was what you told us before the game. There have been really good pockets of play, and then there's that third quarter. So you got sort of the full Monty there. Your thought about the pockets of quality play and overcoming the third quarter?
Yeah, I think now we have, you know, positive teaching points, you know, from this. We're going to conquer, you know, the third quarter. You know, the first half, we've had so many incredible first halves, even in the games that we've lost. And then, you know, if we could get some of these games, like even where we play poorly in the third, just get to the fourth. We have great competitors in our locker room. They love these kind of moments where it's electric in there and you have to make big plays. You know, so it was good to see us overcome the third quarter. There was a little bit of a glitch there where we kind of went back to, you know, some of the things that get us in trouble. I don't need to go through all the details. Our players know what it is. I know what it is. You guys probably know what it is. There's a certain way we have to play. That doesn't guarantee we're going to win every game, but I'll tell you what, we'll have a much better shot of putting ourselves in a position, you know, to move up, you know, playing a certain style. But the fourth quarter was terrific, just, you know, from a competitive standpoint, and the mental toughness to come back when we were down 5 after they took the momentum. There's been enough times where we've lost our spirit. Instead, that, you know, forced us to show our resolve collectively, and I thought Bam was a massive part of that. He forced those 2 turnovers when we were kind of stuck in the mud, and that was like a Defensive Player of the Year type performance throughout the course of the game. He was doing everything on pick and roll, whether he was zoning on pick and rolls, staying in the basket, or switching. Sometimes not switching, getting guys through. He was kind of just orchestrating our whole defense, and then coming back to rebound. And then, of course, you know, the big threes down the stretch. The ball found the right karma. You know, I thought he earned it, you know, to have a great night. He just really did. How he was just pouring so much of his effort and intensity into the game. And he hit those 2 clutch threes. And it was just awesome to see it.
Along those lines, you always caution everybody from reading too much into a box score, too much into scoring, too much into shooting numbers, that sort of thing. Bam just hasn't seen the ball go in for about 3 weeks. How much did you sense any sort of mental lift or a need for one? And you know, with a night like this, just on the shooting end, did they?
Sure, probably. Who wouldn't? I mean, he's a great competitor in this league. And, you know, he has so many responsibilities for us. So, yeah, I'm sure it probably felt awesome to be able to contribute, you know, on both ends of the court and make big shots. He started out really assertive, and he was knocking down, you know, shots. He was also facilitating. He was screening for us. He was basically doing everything. So he filled up the box score, and all the statistical ways, but then all the winning intangible ways as well. And that's why I say, the karma of the game, it found him. He deserved it. He earned it. And he produced, for our team tonight.
Well, you have any update on Davion?
I don't. It's a sore. He got crushed on one of those screens. So we'll see how he feels tomorrow.
Coach, you obviously mentioned before wanting to be in these type of close games, and especially with the game like this that was also very chippy with with Dylan Brooks and other sort of things. Can you just kind of talk about the benefit of that?
That's great. Our guys love it, And look, Phoenix is well coached. They compete really hard. We take pride in doing the same. So of course it should line up, to be a game like this. A lot of the things that they do, we feel like we do as well. And it was good to see us come out on the winning side, versus a very competitive team that was making plays. Also, they were playing well.
You haven't had many opportunities in general just to see Tyler and Norm together, but them both having good, relatively efficient games at the same time. Did it feel like there was a bit more synergy between the two?
Yeah, give us a little bit of time. Because it will get a whole lot better. We love it too because the other side has to make decisions. Who are you putting on who? That allowed Jaime, to drive and they're figuring out who they're putting on Tyler or Norm. Those are good things. We want more of that. The synergy will be there if we just can consistently, play the way we know we need to play. I don't need to get into a whole X and O discussion with you guys, but there's an absolute way we need to play. And when we don't, it's like burning our hand. What are we doing? We know the style and how we have to play. And it's a beautiful brand of basketball too. Doesn't guarantee we're always going to win, but the third quarter is something we're going to have to get better at, and we will.
I feel like Pella had one of the more impactful 2-point, one-shot attempt games.
Yeah,
I guess
sure.
just how important was he in this game defensively? Just kind of switching all over the place, and just the impactful plays are on the other.
No question about it. I love those stat lines. I love those as much as anything in this game. When you impact the game and you can do it not scoring a ton of points, he helps our offense so much. This kind of style that I'm talking about, like Pella helps everybody because he cuts when he needs to cut. He spaces with energy. He drives it hard. He runs hard. He does all the things that keeps the engine of our offense going. Everybody else has that ability to do it too, and we do. We have these great stretches where everybody, has those same qualities, and we have some stretches. They're small pockets. We just have to conquer it. But Pella was terrific tonight.
By starting to mix in some more of these ball screens, what is it that you guys or maybe tonight, what did you get to in this game that maybe you weren't getting to?
There's going to be a balance because, we get to too much of that, it just slowed everything way down. Like the third quarter. I mean, that was just like slowing it down into mud, That's not going to our benefit. No, there has to be a balance, but we still have to play to our principles. If we want to just go 1,000% conventional, we know how that's going to be. If like 4 quarters of playing like we do in the third quarter, that's not going to win a lot of games. There'll have to be some. Certainly you get to the final 6 minutes. Tonight we ran a few. We were getting the ball to specific guys, but then there were some where we're just playing out of our flow, and Jaime was creating some triggers. All right, thank you.